Welcome to Car Sales Talk 101, where it's all about life in the car business. Telling you like it is. Here's the man with the plan, Terry Cameron. Let's get started.
Welcome back to Car Sales Talk 101. I'm Terry Cameron. Thanks for hanging out with me again on this episode, which I believe is episode number 195. And we're going to call this one The Road to the Sale Revisited. So let's go ahead and get started. You know, with all the new technology available to us and our customers, and the ability to do the no-touch remote selling, which was brought on by COVID over the past few years, it would be easy, especially for green peas, to assume that the traditional processes that we were taught to follow can now be just thrown out the window. And I say, nix nine, no way. I will, however, admit that it might be harder to follow the steps in the exact order, but that's the exception and not the rule. A skilled sales professional, through practice, drill, and rehearsing, they possess the skills to take control of the situation, and they can continue to lead the customer down the road to the eventual decision to either buy or at least think about their decision before leaving the lot. Selling an automobile is a step-by-step process. It's a series of well-defined procedures that have to be followed, and there aren't any shortcuts, so don't assume that you can skip some steps. There aren't any exceptions to this method of selling cars, and no one's ever devised any other way of selling cars that's at least been proven successful. The road to the sale is not an option, and you must do it exactly the way it's taught. Every time, not an option. Having a solid process and becoming a master in all the steps keeps you on track, not to mention it making it easier to control the conversations and the selling situations, which in turn builds confidence in you and the confidence your customers have in you. The road to the sale, in my opinion, it's not a way to sell cars. It's the only way to sell cars. All right, so let's go ahead and review the process. Joe Verdi says the stages of buying a car that customers go through is, number one, they have to like you. And number two, if they like you, they'll listen and believe you. And number three, the result will be they buy. Salespeople lead their customers through these stages by, number one, warming them up, which starts with the greeting. Number two, building value during the presentation and demonstration stage. And number three, the easiest stage is closing. Joe goes on to say, what people are really buying is you, the vehicle, and the transaction. So again, let's review the process. First, and probably the most important step, is the meet and greet. This is your opportunity to set the stage for your performance. You've all heard the expression, it only takes a second to make a bad first impression, but it takes a lifetime to turn it around. That first impression is so important, and if done right, it can easily set you apart from the "how can I help y'all" salesperson down the street. Think about what the customer sees as you're walking out to greet them. Do you think it's a positive view of a professional or the typical salesperson that they meet everywhere they go? Greet them promptly and with a warm smile. Shake hands with everyone in the group, and don't screw it up by asking how you can help them, which is just asking for their first objection, which is, "I'm just looking." My personal favorite greeting goes something like this. "Welcome to our dealership. My name is Terry, and you are? It's a pleasure to meet you. And can I ask, what vehicle are you here to test drive today? And now, without pause, you have to ask, is it a car, a truck, or an SUV? You got to give them that answer. They'll either can choose one of those choices, or they might just point at the one they saw online and came in to see. Either way, you're off to a good start, and this will naturally lead you to the next step. So the next step in the road to the sale is building some rapport, and that's just getting them to like you. Remember, if they like you, they'll open up to you and help you help them purchase a car. You have to find some things in common, whether it's the football team on their ball cap, their kiddos following them around, or anything else that stands out to the keen eye of the sales pro. Don't go overboard here. Customers can see right through the false excitement and enthusiasm a salesperson might exude. Make sure you remember everyone's names and keep the smile going. This is also a good time to remember to leave out politics, rude jokes, and girls going wild. Keep it professional. No smoking, spitting, or cussing, even if your customer does. So after the break, we'll dive into your investigation and presentation steps on the road to the sale. Auto dealers, do you know where your vehicles are and when they'll arrive? I know the inventory management challenge dealers face, so I'm certain the answer is a resounding no. But Montway Auto Transport can change your answer to a confident yes with the Montway Automation Portal, better known as MAP, M-A-P. MAP offers a smarter way to move and manage orders while giving you end-to-end visibility of all inbound and outbound units. You can upload VINs, get pricing, dispatch the orders, and track every unit on the dashboard. Leveraging MAP can save you time and money and get your vehicles to your lots quicker to sell. With MAP, you can book, track, and manage your inventory from one revolutionary platform. See MAP in action at www.montway.com/MAP. Now write this down, www.montway.com/MAP, and put your dealership on the map. Welcome back. Now let's move on to the next step in the sales process, the investigation. When I say investigation, I'm not talking about putting the bright spotlight in their eyes and hammering them with question after question. What you really need to do is sort of mix and weave these wants and needs questions into your rapport building. Who's going to be the primary driver? Will they be driving alone or carrying others? What are some of the features on their current vehicle they want on the new one? Will they do mostly city driving, or will they be driving on the highway most of the time? Is it for a special occasion, such as birthday, anniversary, or something like that, or just because they deserve it? And of safety, economy, and dependability, which is most important to you? These are just a few questions you can investigate with. I'm sure with a little thought you can come up with many more. I myself like to have about 5 or 6 go-to questions in my toolbox that I can use to get things started without struggling to think of some topics off the top of my head. I suggest you do the same. Practice memorizing 5 or 6 questions you can use every time. I guarantee your sales process will progress so much smoother and lead to more sales with higher grosses. A good practice to adopt is to write down the hot buttons and the reasons your customer is interested in a particular vehicle. It'll help you remember, and it shows the customer that you're paying attention and that what they say matters to you. Seamlessly, you'll be able to move to the presentation stage. This is where 80% of the selling is done, and it's also where most of the buying is done. The value building stage is what we're talking about here. If early in the process, price or payment came up and you were able to defer answering those dollar questions, now is where it pays off. If you paid attention to the wants and needs of the customers, you're able to personalize the presentation based upon what the customer told you was important to them. We call this a FAB, F-A-B presentation, which stands for the feature, what it is, the advantage, what it does, and the benefit, why it's important to them. This is as opposed to the everyday product presentation that the walking, talking encyclopedia of a car feature salesperson who bores the hell out of the customer and oftentimes results in spending too much of the customer's time not answering their wants and needs, and they leave. Get this, when I mentioned deferring answering the price and payment question earlier as you build value with your presentation, you'll get the customer to bump on price and or payment without saying a word. I've had salespeople ask me, how much time should the presentation take? Well, it depends, but if you don't include the actual demo or test drive, I think the most time you'll need is about 5 to 10 minutes. I know, I have managers shaking their heads about this, but if you spend 10 minutes presenting features and you do a good job, the presentation spills over into the demo drive and actually lasts even longer. Remember, don't bore them with the features that they don't care about. Just hit on their hot buttons and maybe mix in a couple of high tech and fun features to make it more interesting. Keep this stat in mind. 50% of the customers that were surveyed said that they bought on the spot when they got what they thought was a good presentation and demonstration. That number alone is all I need to become a master in the road to the sale, and should be for you too. Before we go, let's take a quick review. Keep this acronym in mind. GRIP, G-R-I-P. Greet, rapport, investigate, presentation. If you have a great greeting, the defenses come down, and only now can you start to build some rapport and find some common ground. You can now investigate wants and needs, hot buttons, must-haves, and the customer will be honest and forthcoming with the information you need to move to the presentation and build value on what's important to the customer. Of course, we still need to take them on the demo drive, but that comes so much easier along with closing if we took care of business on the other steps of the sale. One last thing. I know that I may be repeating content from past episodes, and for a while that bothered me. But I want to thank the listeners that chimed in through DMs and emails and thank me for going over these subjects again and sometimes again, which helped them sell more cars, and said that by not changing anything, it proves that I have faith and confidence in what I put out there. So thank you again, and don't forget to hit me up with any comments and questions you might have. Remember, the sky's the limit. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please rate it and write a review on Apple Podcast. We appreciate your valuable feedback. You can email Terry at 10minutessalestalk@haunt.rr.com. And don't forget to share the show with a friend.